I have no more campaigns to run. I know because I won both of them.
Joining me now, Rebecca Traister, writer-at-large for New York Magazine and author of the justifiably bestseller New York Times book, All the Single Ladies, which every single person should get and read. It is so excellent. I cannot stress that enough. And former Michigan Governor, Democrat Jennifer Granholm, who is a supporter of Hillary Clinton. Rebecca, can you win the presidency of the United States in 2016, given the way that voting behavior works in the polling, with the kind of numbers that Donald Trump has right now among women?
No. But those numbers are likely to change as his opponent gets more defined. I mean, we talk about this. We are still in primary stages.
Yep.
Even though the leaders in their parties are becoming more and more likely, we don't yet have a race between these two candidates. And those numbers will shift. There are Republican women, and there are Republican women who will justify their own reasons for voting against Hillary Clinton. There are a lot of conservative people who loathe Hillary Clinton, including.
So you're basically saying you don't. When half of Republican women say I'm never voting for the guy, you just don't believe that. It's true.
I believe they may think that right now, and I believe it could be true. I believe it really, really could be true. We could see a greater number than that if Trump keeps up as he is. We could see women really move away from the Republican Party in huge numbers. I'm just saying that the numbers right now don't yet tell us exactly what's going to be happening in 6 months.
Jennifer, there's a lot of back and forth between the Sanders camp and the Clinton camp about who would do better against Donald Trump, and the Sanders camp likes to talk about head-to-head matchups, and in some places they do seem to have some advantage over Donald Trump. I guess my question to you is, how do you see gender playing a role if it were to be the case that Hillary Clinton ends up going against Donald Trump?
Well, I don't think she'll make it an explicit role other than fighting for women, whether they're single or married, or women who want to have access to choice. But I do know this, Chris, that one ad that the Republican super PAC took out against Donald Trump, where they used his language. I mean, I was just pulling up quotes today to look at this. The stuff he has said hasn't even begun to come to light yet. When he says things like, and just here's one example, I think that putting a wife to work is a very dangerous thing. You know, I don't want to sound too much like a chauvinist, but when I come home and dinner's not ready, I go through the roof. I mean, come on. And there's more and more and more of that. It's going to be a bloodbath against him. Now, whether that will eventually make the numbers even greater, I don't know, because they're pretty lopsided right now. But believe me, this is not the end of hearing about Donald Trump's misogyny.
Let me quote this. This is Ace segment producer Todd Cole found this one in Mika Brzezinski's 2011 book, Knowing Your Value, on working moms. When asked about hiring working moms, Donald replies skeptically, "She's not giving me 100%. She's giving me 84%, and 16% is going towards taking care of her children."
Or wait, there's this one too. Can I just throw in one more?
Please.
Because, so when he buys the Miss USA pageant, right, he says, you don't give up bleep if a girl can play a violin like the greatest violinist in the world. You want to know, what does she look like? If there's one talent you care about, it's the look talent. And that's what this retweet today demonstrates, is that he is obsessed only with women's looks. And that every woman hears.
Well, and evaluating them on a very old scale, a wifely scale, which leads to an aesthetic, a sexual scale. I mean, what we're going to be entering is this election where we have the first major party nominee for president
this is what's so insane about
against America's white male sexist racist id. Okay, that's what this election is. It's going to be in such stark relief. It is competing worldviews about the role of women.
Okay, but there's two ways and again, Hillary Clinton is not yet the nominee. She's up by 350 plus pledged delegates. I believe that number is correct. So I don't want to sort of foreclose that part.
Yeah,
300.
Well, and I think there's certain ways in which Bernie Sanders against him. There's also a gender dynamic to that as well, as we have seen with Donald Trump and the other men that he has dispatched.
Oh yeah,
in which he's employed this very kind of alpha male language of dominance that has been very effective. I think there's two different ways I can see that going against a female opponent, in the case of Hillary Clinton. I tend to think it's going to backfire wildly, but you seem less convinced of that.
Well, I just don't know. I mean, I think that Hillary Clinton is our favorite version of Hillary Clinton, is often the tough, competent Hillary Clinton when she is battling right-wing monsters, when she's up against the Benghazi committee, when she won her first election against Rick Lazio, and he looked like a bully because he approached, that was for her New York Senate seat. And she could come out the champion against Donald Trump, and it could look really good on her. However, we have to remember that this kind of rhetoric exists for the same reason that we have not had a woman president in the United States. This is not some outlying crazy thing. This is how a lot of people in the United States think, and it's the thinking that is behind our power structures.
Right.
That's exactly right. And it's one of the reasons, just really quickly, that she, in this first role, will be a model for every woman to come who's ever run for office. How do you combat those kind of messages coming at you? And if the contrast in the general election between whether it's Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, or even if you contrast with how classy our current president is, you cannot imagine any of those Democrats tweeting out pictures of their spouse or making them making their spouses objectified like that.
Yes.
So I love the contrast in the general, but it will be interesting for time immemorial for women to see how it plays out.
Yeah, there's a lot of bells that have been rung that cannot be unrung, is my general feeling about this. We'll see, though. This is all very dynamic and uncharted territory. Rebecca Traister, whose book you should buy, All the Single Ladies Go Buy It, and former Michigan Governor, Democrat Jennifer Granholm. Thank you so much for joining us. That is all.
You'd be forcing the mother to go through unspeakable trauma to carry her rapist baby for 9 months.
Well, I'll tell you.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.